This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Dependable Lock Service. Own a gun, you need a Liberty Safe from Dependable Lock Service. Visit LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. That's LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. And I held a time last night, a fundraiser for State Representative Shauna O'Connell from Taunton, Massachusetts. And we had a lot of people at my house. And some people said, you should take more phone calls for Ann Coulter. We love to talk to Ann Coulter. So I said, okay. I asked Ann if she wanted to take some calls in this segment, and she said she was fine with it. So if you want to talk to Ann Coulter, give us a call at 1-844-500-4242, 1-844-500-4242. Joining us now on the line is Ann Coulter, the author of the new book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. Thank you for being with us, Ann.
Thank you. More than fine with it. I love your callers. You have the smartest audience in the business.
So where are you going to be watching the debate this evening, Ann?
Command Central, with several TVs, my computer. I'll be live tweeting.
Okay, and you're at one of your houses, though. You're not in Hempstead, I guess.
Hempstead, no. I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, Ann. Were you like me on Saturday morning when you woke up and you heard about the shooting at the mall in Washington State, and you immediately thought, Then you saw the picture, and they said this man, the shooter is a Hispanic, and
yeah, we're getting a ranking of which victim groups are the liberals are most concerned with, and apparently Muslim trumps Hispanic.
Yeah, well, you know what I hate to do profiling here, Ann, but I saw it Hispanic, but where's the baseball cap? Where's the tattoos? And I just kept waiting.
Also, it's not really so much their thing. I don't know if it's. I mean, I have two chapters on how the media and the left and Democrats and the entire culture treat each one of these Muslim terrorist attacks. They'll send out disinformation. They generally, quite often, rush to accuse a Tea Party or a white man after the bomb was left in Times Square. Michael Bloomberg went on TV and he thought it was probably an angry Tea Party or upset about Obamacare.
Right. Or tax day, or remember Boston Marathon? That was, I think, on April 13th. So they said it was a Tea Party attack coming up to Income Tax Day, right? Remember that?
Right. The police actually released a sketch of a balding white guy in the Times Square bombing. There was, as I mentioned in my column last week, after the Orlando shooting, NBC's chief law enforcement advisor, he's just some guy from BATF, went on TV and said he thought it was a conservative type who didn't like a nativist, who was upset at diversity, and there were diverse people at the gay nightclub. And the most astonishing one, which I tweeted about at the time and put in my book, I mean, I ran it down, was after the San Bernardino shooting. If you remember, I mean, I think we were all watching TV that night, and suddenly dropped into the news cycle was this report from the LA Times that there had been a dispute at the community center, and the guy had stormed off and come back guns blazing. So all night, even people like Mark Furman, they're all sort of confused because it clearly looks like a jihadist act, but on the other hand, a law enforcement official had told the Los Angeles Times that it was preceded by an argument there, which sounds like a workplace dispute. Well, the whole thing, I kept tweeting for weeks after that, hey, what happened to that dispute? Did anybody ever run that down? No, of course, it turned out they finally demurely took it back like 3 weeks later. There was no dispute. And, of course, by then we knew, yes, they're both Muslims. She had just arrived. They're pledging allegiance to ISIS as they're shooting up the community center. But there's always this misdirection from the media. And even when it turns out to be a Muslim, then it's all, we have to watch out for white people being Islamophobic.
Right. Well, the thing I kept waiting all day on Saturday. I ran into somebody from one of the big networks on Saturday. I had a prearranged date, and I said, "What are you hearing about this shooting at the mall?" And he said, "Oh, he thought it was a domestic dispute. That the guy had gone in for his girlfriend or something. I don't think he was purposefully lying. I mean, this is the story they were putting out.
Yes, and I don't recall it being that way when Dylan Roof or whatever his name was shot up the black church. I mean, all of these the white male mass murders, they all have that, the same haircut, the faraway look, and within
Right.
10 minutes you realize the guy should have been in a straitjacket. But there's never any doubt about who did it.
Right. Well,
there's never any confusion. They're not telling us that, the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting, we think it was a Muslim. Somehow the mistake never, ever gets made that way.
Right.
It's always against Americans.
Yeah, where does the Hispanic Anti-Defamation League going to step up and demand, some kind of reparations for having this guy described for like 24 hours as Hispanic when everybody who saw him had serious doubts about it? Now it turns out the guy's a Turk. By the way, Ann, what do you have to do
As
to
an
get?
immigrant.
Yeah, what do you have to do to get what do you have to do to get deported in this country? I mean, this guy's got a record as long as his arm. Again, he's like the guy in Elizabeth. He's attacking members of his own family. He's drunk driving. And they just keep giving him a pass. I mean, in the old days, Ian, and I don't mean to date myself here, but I would say in a sane country, if you had a guy who's a visitor, who's not a citizen, who's behaving in this kind of antisocial fashion, I mean, wouldn't you want to get him out on the first plane back to Ankara or Istanbul?
Yes, and I think that's what most people would expect if they go to someone else's country. I mean, if you decide you want to move to France, you would not start demanding that the French change all of their telephone messages and signs to an English translation. You would not expect to be committing crimes and have them let you go. Weirdly, in this country, you're really better off being an illegal.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, if you or I got caught driving without a license, drunk, not allowed to be in the country at all, they wouldn't just say, okay, you can go now.
Right. How about the guy in Nebraska, the illegal alien from Honduras? He's a teenager. He's driving drunk and drag racing, and he kills an American citizen, and then they let him go. They wouldn't let an American teenager go.
No, they would not.
And yet they let the illegal alien go. And by the way, they finally released the transcript of the Orlando shooter. Speaking of people, lone wolf shooters. Did you read this yet, Ann?
No, but just footnote this here. That was 2 months ago. They finally released the transcript?
They finally did. But listen, let me just...
And which one? He called 911 and he called local news stations as he was doing the shooting, pledging allegiance to ISIS and to your friends, the Marathon Bomb.
Yeah, I was just going to read you that. We now have the exact quote. My homeboy, Tamerlane Sarniev, we call him Speed Bump, because he's the one that got run over.
Right.
My homeboy Tamerlane Sarniev did his thing on the Boston Marathon. My homeboy, unidentified name, did his thing. Maybe that's probably Joker. Okay, so now it's my turn. Okay, so these are lone wolves. It's my turn. How can it? If you're a lone wolf, how can it be your turn? It's like you're acting as a quote unquote lone wolf, right?
2 or 3 lone wolves.
2 or 3 lone wolves. That's the CNN analysis.
When all of the lone wolves are Muslim immigrants, who cares if they're communicating with one another? I think that would suggest to a person of ordinary common sense, stop bringing in Muslim immigrants.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, Sean wants to speak to you, Ann. Ann Coulter, the author of the new book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, and she's going to be at the Kowloon on October the 28th with me. We're going to be doing the show there. Tickets are still available. Go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on events. Sean, you're next with Howie Carr and Ann Coulter. Go ahead, Sean.
Howie, Ann, it's an honor. Another great book. Pre-ordered it. Can't wait to read it, I'm sure. It's going to be amazing, as all your other works are. I have one question, an honest question. If you could live in any other country on this fine planet, what would it be besides America?
Well, obviously a lot of us have been thinking about that since it's the end of this great country, America, if Trump isn't elected. And no, there isn't one. Who wants to live in Australia? And that's about the only one Australia and New Zealand who wants to be with a bunch of sheep. But that would probably be it. It's very sad what's happening now. I mean, this is your last chance, America. I don't care if you don't like Donald Trump's tweets or his style or anything else. Hillary promises that she will amnesty all 30 to 40 illegal immigrants in this country. And you know, one thing, I may write my column about this. We'll see what happens in the debate. But this incessant demand for policy specifics, and Trump won't give us policy specifics. I have a whole chapter on this going through the media claiming they need policy specifics, interspersed with vast policy papers, policy speeches, details. No, Trump is the only one giving us policy specifics. How about we get into the specifics of Hillary Clinton's plan to amnesty all illegal aliens here? For one thing, can they start by telling us how many are here? No, the government can't tell us that. Number two, what if they have one of these drunk driving offenses? Do you get one drunk driving offense, one vehicular homicide? How about 2 misdemeanors, 3 misdemeanors? Because under the amnesty bill, I think you could have up to 3 misdemeanors and still get amnesty. Can we get some specifics on that? And when she amnesties all 30 to 40 million illegal immigrants already living here, and that starts a rush to the border, do they get amnestied as soon as they cross? Is this just no, we are just dissolving our borders, and anyone who wants to come here and partake of our welfare system meant for our own elderly, our own vulnerable, our own poor? Is it just open doors for all of them? No, they will never ask Hillary that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is describing exactly the concrete and, the pillars necessary to build the wall along the border. How much it will cost.
And
how Mexico will pay for it.
And how about her concrete proposal to increase by 5-fold the number of Muslim immigrants or Mideast immigrants coming into the United States? I mean,
right.
How many do you want? I mean, how many more malls are going to get shot up? How many more dumpsters in Chelsea are going to get bombs dropped off in them? How many more marine dances are going to get bombed? How many more marathons? How many more gay nightclubs? I mean, when does it end?
Right, and how many more investigations? There are currently thousands of investigations in all 50 states of terrorists. So, even the ones who don't end up blowing up the Boston Marathon or shooting up the San Bernardino Community Center or the gay nightclub in Orlando, even the ones who don't do that, the good ones, Howie, there are still all of these endless investigations that we're paying for.
And Ann, 91% of the Arabic-speaking refugees are still on food stamps or some other form of welfare 5 years later. This is Obama's own federal government statistics. I mean, so the good news is maybe the good news is they're going to just stay on welfare. The bad news is they're going to stay on welfare and they're going to shoot up a mall or they're going to or a gay nightclub or the Boston Marathon. I mean, what's the upside of this? By the way, this was in Breitbart today. Leaked FBI data reveals 7,700 terrorist encounters in USA in 1 year. 1 year. We're letting. Go ahead.
Think of all the law enforcement resources that are necessary here. Why do we need to do this?
Yeah.
Why do Americans need to pay for this? We're fine. We're diverse enough for a while. We need a little pause in third world immigration, and particularly Muslim immigration right now. It's expensive to follow these guys and to stop them from committing the terrorist attacks, which the FBI has done, obviously, many times. But that's expensive. We are paying for that.
Sharon, you're next with Howie Carr and Ann Coulter, the author of the new book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome.
Hi, Ann.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Hi, Ann. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
I want you to know we absolutely love you on the island up here north of Maine. The reason I'm calling is that I wanted to say all of these things that Hillary has to say on TV, there's a word for her. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're here. What's the word?
Okay. The word is a sea cucumber. A sea cucumber looks like a zucchini. It only has 2 openings, one at one end, which is its mouth, the other at the other end, which is its rectum, where it passes you know what. However, it also breathes through its rectum.
Okay, Sharon, we don't need to know all this stuff about
We have a marine biologist on the phone.
Thank you for the call, Sharon.
I think she's more like Tracy Flick in the election. I think I may need to watch that tonight before the debate begins.
What's your take on how Lester Holt is going to behave himself this evening?
Well, we've seen the media work its magic on so many people in the past. I mean, look at all these, just to take one quick example, look at all of these, the neoconservatives who throughout the Bush years had blood dripping from their teeth, and now suddenly they come out against Trump and they're being quoted in the New York Times and featured on NBC as this foreign policy expert. The media puts pressure on whatever Lester Holt's predilections to begin with.
Strange new respect, Ann. That's the word. Strange new. These Republicans
There's
who are never
Trump.
Trump.
Pressure to do that.
Yeah, strange new respect. Yeah, exactly.
Joe Sobran.
Yeah, so that's what. Lester Holt, he's nominally a Republican, but like I keep saying, the Bushes are Republicans. Susan Collins is a Republican. James Comey is. He's the poster boy right now for the nominal Republicans getting strange new respect.
John McCain is a Republican.
Lindsey Graham.
Right.
Yeah, and we'll be looking forward to reading your tweets tonight and your column. And, of course, your book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. I look forward to seeing you at the Kowloon on October 28th. And people want to buy tickets. They're going fast, but we got a few left. And if you buy the ticket and come up and watch the show at the Kowloon in Saugus, you get a copy of your new book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you, Ann. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week, Howie. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. That's Ann Coulter. Again, the title of her book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. 1-844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.